Now it's possible to do this to extend your image or add any object you want in your design just with one click directly inside Photoshop. Yesterday, Adobe announced a huge update. They integrated their generative AI Firefly into Photoshop. Adobe had a live session for almost 8 hours and I watched the whole thing. In this video, I will share all of my tips from there. They announced new adjustment presets, remove tool, updated gradient tool, new toolbar, and of course the main star of the update, generative field, which you can transform your images to something like this using only Photoshop. If you want to use it, you just need to download the Photoshop beta version. You can find it here in the Adobe Creative Cloud app. You don't need to wait for any beta access. If you have an Adobe subscription, you can use it right now. I have this image from Midjourney, which I really like, but I want to add some more context to the left and right parts and maybe remove some of cars. As you may notice, we have a new menu on the bottom part which you can hold and move around in the canvas. This menu is one of the new features with this update. If you don't see it, you can turn it on from the Windows tab. Now we have a main two buttons on this menu, select subject and remove background, but depending on the tool we choose, we got different options in this menu. For example, let's choose this car with the lasso tool, and you can see we have other options right now, and the main one is the generative fill option, which is definitely the most exciting part of this new update. Now I will enlarge my canvas first to add more space to the sides. Then let's choose the right side first and hit the generative fill option. If you want to add anything specific to the selected space, I can type my prompt here in this box, but I just want to continue my image, so I will let it for AI's imagination and leave it blank. This is the real-time speed of the process, so you can see the generation speed. Of course, it can be different depending on your computer. In my case, the maximum generation time was around 1 minute. For the generative fill, we don't need to download any datasets for sampling because it is using directly from the cloud. This is a huge bonus for me because, for example, in the case of Stable Diffusion, we must download more than 10 GB files for the datasets and maybe even more if you want to use different models or extensions. That's why we need to connect it through Adobe's Creative Cloud. And for the generative, we need to have an internet connection for the datasets. We have our first generation ready. In each generation, we get 3 different options that we can choose. The first one is not so great, so I will generate it again. Okay, in this one, the third option is really nice, but I'm not so happy with the 3. So I will just select this area and then type 3 to generate. Even though we just type 3 without any style, it analyzes our image and then generates something that will fit the current style and the overall environment. Then I will do the same for the left part, and the second option is pretty nice. It does a fantastic job of following the same perspective lines and the color palette of the original image, so it looks very realistic overall. And I don't like this car. I want to add another one, but maybe in motion. Normally adding a car directly on Photoshop is something I hate, because for me it's super hard to find a car image in the correct perspective and the lighting direction. But look at this one, it fits perfectly. Even the blur and the blur direction is all perfect. I will add a bit more sky on the top part, which is not so exciting, I know, because it's pretty easy to do this with the content aware fill tool too. And here is our final updated version. Now let's edit this interior garden view with the generative fill tool. I want to test it out with different types of images to see its capabilities in different environments and styles, like an architectural facade, an interior garden view, 2 interior designs, and the landscape images. First, I will enlarge my canvas for this image too to add some more context around the original image. And in this one, I want to add a person here. This is one of the most exciting parts for me because I wasted so many hours trying to find a nice PNG people image to use in my renders and then try to fit them perfectly. I will choose this area and let's try to generate a man with a black shirt. This one didn't work out so nicely, so I will try another one. This time a girl with red shirt, blurry in motion. And I love this third option, the motion overall colors, and there is even pretty nice shadow on the ground. Normally I had to go and search for PNG people and try to find an actual nice image that I already didn't use many times. Even though I find it is super hard to find it in the right context, perspective, direction and the color tones. I will add more sky to make the image vertical. Let's just say space sky and see what comes up. Okay, even though they are really cool, but not for this image. So let's try moon instead. And yes, this second option fits perfectly with the overall mood of this picture. It's really amazing how much you can change your image's overall mood just with a couple of clicks now. And I only added pretty minimal things. Possibilities are absolutely endless. In this landscape image, I want to see how good it is with understanding the depth of the image and the scale of the object at different distances. Let's add a cabinet in the foreground here and just type wooden cabinet and yellow. And the results were super realistic and fitting the whole terrain shape. But it wasn't yellow, that's why I generated it again, and the second time it was much better. Now I will select this further part and type the same prompt, and it understood the depth of the image pretty nicely and placed our tiny cabinet there. And now let's change this whole area into a lake. I will select this area quickly and let's type lake and reflections on water. Even though we don't type things like reflections or shadow, it automatically creates them, but I think it may give better results if you specifically edit. And you see how much you can change the image just with a simple selection and Firefly magic. In this part there are some problematic parts with this half cabinets, so let's generate it again. And this version is much better. I love the small island here, so I will keep this one. When I first saw the update, one of the questions I thought was, can I merge two images with the generative fill tool? And let's see if it can. I extend the top part and I added this galaxy view. Then I simply selected this area in between them and it merged them perfectly. You may say, okay, but those two images were not so hard to merge. Then check out this one. If the two images perspectives match, it can merge them pretty seamlessly. And here is the final result for our landscape image. Okay, so this part was one of the most exciting parts for me. Normally, if you want to generate design alternatives for a room like this, you either need to model the whole room and then find nice 3D furniture from some library, or you can do this in Photoshop too with furniture PNG images and you can try combine them, but it is very difficult and almost impossible to make them look super realistic because most probably their perspective won't be the same as your image. Even if it's the same, the lighting won't be the same, so there are many things we need to consider. And changing textures and materials is relatively easier than putting furniture, but still either you have to find nice seamless images or create your own and then match the perspectives with your image. But now all we need to do is choose the floor and let's say polish concrete, and it will take care of the perspectives, reflections and the lighting. We can even see the reflections of these tiny wall decoration elements. And now one of my favorite moments, I will choose this area and type soft sofa furry orange color and look at the result. The first two are not so my style, but I love the third one. One of the things I have realized, when you are editing your image with the generative fill tool, make sure to select a larger area than the actual object you want to generate to give some space for it to put the new reflections, shadows, etc. caused by the new object. If I select just enough area, it usually fails to generate something that fits well with the image. Later I added a nice vintage carpet on the ground and extended my image to both sides, and here is the final version I created. I have another similar room that I want to decorate and add some life. I think the next step for this huge update will be an addition similar to the control net on Stable Diffusion. At least I really hope that, because it will open a whole new world for us. Even it can generate amazing furnitures right now, but in this extension, for example, we can sketch the overall volume of the object we want to have and it can generate on top of that using it as a reference like this example. And as another tip, it matters if you choose different areas at once or separately one by one. For the frames on the wall, because I choose them together, it generated the same style of paintings in both of them. Especially in this one, it is exactly the same, just in different directions, which looks great, I think. And lastly, I added a ceiling lamp and our interior view is ready. After a facade view, interior design and landscape images, let's see what we can do with a portrait photo. Again, this image is from Midjourney, which is absolutely incredible, the overall quality, lighting and the textures on her face. Let's first try to remove these leaves here to see how good it will complete her shoulder and arm. The first two options weren't so great with the blurry parts, but the third option is amazing. It completed her shoulder perfectly. I added some earrings with some freckles on her face. I wonder if we can turn her hair to some different styles. Let's try blonde version, and all the options are perfect. Then I extended both bottom and the right side to generate the rest of her body. Usually arms and hands can be pretty problematic with AI generated images, but it managed to outpaint these parts in a way that it made sense for her pose, especially her left hand, and you can see before and after versions. I had a group selfie with the same girl, but all of the guys are same and it looks weird right now. Let's try to change this man with a cute panda and remove the other ones. Some pandas were angry, but eventually we got a nice one. And lastly, I have tried to create something from an empty blank page to test it out as a pure text to image generation mode. For the generative fill from a blank page, how you select your selection area matters because it will try to fill that area completely. I imagine a desert view with a dark stormy clouds, and then I added some camels to the background and it added without any problems. Later I added an astronaut and tried to add a crashed spaceship for him, but the spaceships weren't as I imagined, so I removed them later. Actually, I tried to add a pad covered with snow in front of him to add a more contrast to this image, but it just didn't create any snow. I think it thinks that there shouldn't be any snow in the desert and that's why it couldn't add it. Maybe I am wrong, but I thought like that because it analyzes the whole image for the new generations. I love how it adds reflections of the astronauts on the water surface. It really adds another level to the image and add extra layer of depth to the composition. And here our final image with a step-by-step process. I hope you liked this video. I tried to cover different use cases for the Adobe Firefly Photoshop update. I didn't want to make this video any longer. That's why I didn't focus so much on the other parts of the update. Did you try this new update? Or are you planning to use it in your next project? Please let me know what you think about this update in the comments. See you in the next video.